Hey, what's up? So we're continuing on with Jim Lee's Age of X-Men, his period, a 4-year period between 1989 and 1992 that really featured, I think, some of his most iconic works of his career, and especially, definitely the peak and pinnacle of his career at Marvel. So we're going to start off here with his run on Alpha Flight. I have issues 87 through 89 to feature. But this time, Jim Lee was doing a lot of things at Marvel. He was working on the X-Men. He's still contributing to the Punisher War Journal. He was doing covers here and there. So it was a very busy period in 1990. But he does come back to contribute to Alpha Flight and really, work on these covers. And, he's doing a lot of covers in the Age of X-Men because he is one of Marvel's featured artists. You have the likes of Mark Silvestri, Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, and these are sort of the superstars at Marvel, and they get a lot of recognition. And here's these 3 issues here, 87 through 89, all feature again that character that we associate with Jim's career at Marvel, which is Wolverine. Here on 88, you can see we have Wolverine right there in the corner. That's a preview of Wolverine 27, that iconic cover. And then here on 89, we have Wolverine in the background with the Vindicators. So, along with Jim on Alpha Flight comes Wolverine. And then Jim Lee's last work on Alpha Flight is for the cover of issue 90. Jim's kind of tying up some loose ends here on Alpha Flight. And then we continue here. First off, Jim did this beautiful cover on Conan 242 in 91. So this would be Jim's last work on Conan the Barbarian. Also another cover piece. And then, Jim comes back for covers on Punisher War Journal number 13, number 14, and number 15. Here, Jim, this is a really very special cover because we get a Jim Lee Spider-Man. And that's something you don't often see. And then Jim Lee also ties up loose ends here on Punisher War Journal with his final issues, 18, 19. Here he actually comes back as the interior artist. We get this great farewell issue with the Punisher on a jet ski. You just rented a jet ski to the Punisher. Kiss that baby goodbye. So this is just a great sort of bon voyage issue for Jim on Punisher War Journal. Just kind of great riding out on the, riding out into the sunset and on his jet ski with his assault rifle there. Just very sort of befitting that they would end like this on obviously something Jim Lee worked very hard on. So let's get into the Uncanny X-Men. Now, Uncanny X-Men is kind of what leads to Jim's fame and fortunes in the comic book industry. And we had him do a few issues leading up to this 3-issue run, 256 through 258. And they give Jim sort of free reign to do all the art, and he works very closely and collaborates with Chris Claremont on the story. And again, it's a standalone kind of 3-issue miniseries where really we probably get one of the biggest contributions of Jim's career and that is the reimagining of Psylocke. Oh, well, like what I like to say, sexy Psylocke with a PS. So she's here featured on the first two covers, and then we get this great Wolverine, nude Wolverine, kind of battling the Mandarin here. So this story arc is just very interesting. Great, great story, great art, great really comic book storytelling, and it sets the stage for basically a simple decision. Eventually, Jim Lee takes over X-Men, and so this is just a precursor, sort of a trial run. Sells a lot of books, garners a lot of interest, and the decision is made. But one thing I will add is that these 3 issues give us, again, Psylocke's new look, the side blade, really the vision that, or the, I guess the creation of Psylocke that's lasted even to now. So talking about a 30-year iteration of Psylocke that hasn't changed. And Psylocke continues to be one of my favorite characters in comic books. And so, again, it all starts here on this 3-issue run. We can thank Jim Lee for reimagining Psylocke as Asian and also as kind of a deadly assassin type from the very sort of soft, innocent figure of Betsy Braddock. All right, so, Jim's humming along on this 3-issue run of X-Men. He comes back on 260, 261, and 264. Again, some great covers here. Here we have 261, the first cover appearance of PS Sexy Psylocke. Just a wonderful cover there. And again, like what's really definitely you see change in the Age of X-Men, his X-Men period, is he's now kind of mastered this eye-popping, action-driven, again, detailed to anatomy kind of artwork that really we associate with his name, right? He kind of builds that brand as just top comic book artist, and then he drops X-Men 268. This is where he's announced as the full-time artist on Uncanny X-Men. And man, is this a great issue. The Mad Rapport issue with Captain America, Black Widow, and X-Men Wolverine teaming up. Iconic cover, great comic book. And, everything from this point on, or even leading up to this, the X-Men issues leading up to this, and everything from this point on is literally just an eye feast in terms of covers and artwork, interior artwork. So if you were lucky to be reading X-Men during this period, man, were you just very fortunate to be getting these things month to month, and just being really overwhelmed with the quality of the storytelling and artwork. So yeah, just iconic cover after cover. We have here X-Men 270, Havoc, wreaking havoc on the X-Men trade dress. We have here Wolverine. Just a great cover here with Psylocke again. We have a cover with Cable and Archangel on the Extinction Agenda. Here we have X Factor coming back, reuniting on a mini run here with the original members. Kind of a sign of things to come. And then we have 274, again, another one of my favorite covers with Rogue and Magneto. And then, we kind of get Space Age here with these new uniforms on this amazing gatefold wraparound 90s goodness cover with the space uniforms. It's a giant size issue, I think 60 pages, so just a real treat. and nice 90s nostalgic piece. Again, comes back with this cover on 276, another Wolverine cover. You'll see Wolverine a lot. As I said, it's kind of what sells comic books, Jim Lee and Wolverine, and we get him again here fighting Gambit in the space uniforms again. Just another addition to this legendary run. We can't. First off, this is leading to a decision to split X-Men, reunify the old team and the new team, and split them into gold and blue teams. And so Jim Lee kind of takes a break to prepare and wrap up his run on Uncanny with a new run on Volume 2. So we get Uncanny X-Men 280 and 286. He's just featured as a cover artist on these 2 issues as he wraps up his run here and begins a new run on Volume 2. Now, leading up to Volume 2, issue number 1, we had a few things happen at Marvel, and one is the introduction of a Volume 2, or just a new line of Spider-Man, just entitled Spider-Man, where Todd McFarlane kind of jumps from ASM to his new line on Spider-Man. And that was a huge event, sold 2 million comic books. Then we had Rob Liefeld come in, and he did X-Force number 1, 5 million books. A new team with Cable, new character. Man, it was just a great time to be collecting comic books because you had all these just interesting artists creating these new characters. And, a lot of hype was being built up for the new line of X-Men, and they were kind of marketing and promoting it. And Jim Lee was obviously doing a lot of that work. So it kind of had him doing that and then doing a lot of marketing with covers. And so here's a great example. Punisher Armory 1 and 2, Jim Lee comes on, does the cover artwork for it. And this isn't even the real comic book. This is just sort of like a weapons, high-grade military weapons feature, just describing the kind of weapons that is in Punisher's arsenal. And again, with Jim Lee's work, these things fly off the shelves and is very popular. So that's kind of where Jim Lee was at leading up to his work on Volume 2 X-Men number 1. He was just doing a lot of different covers on different titles. Some of the titles were really popular. Other titles were things, probably Marvel was trying to get more eyes on, and anyway, they enlisted his help to do all that. So Jim Lee was doing that, also doing artwork for cards and various other projects. So they were keeping Jim very busy. So great, again, cover here on the Punisher. Probably some of his best Punisher covers here in these Armory issues. So, here's another example of the Punisher on the Ghost Rider cover, kind of showing his versatility and range in drawing different characters. So we have great battle pose there. Continues on Ghost Rider and X-Men on this little mini run here. And this is really a great cover here as well. X-Factor 62 comes back, but you see the team reunite. X-Factor and X-Men reunited, and it sort of portends things to come in terms of that reunification. So, yeah, again, I just remember buying a comic book and seeing them announce, the new X-Men series with Claremont, and that was just one of the things that us fans were just looking forward to. We were just anticipating it. Here is Jim Lee's most iconic cover at Marvel, and it's the Wolverine, and fittingly it's Wolverine just jumping out of the page. This image was everywhere, on video games, on t-shirts. I just remember like this being such a dynamic image, and man, I just can't think of, this is his best work. This is hands down best work at Marvel, most iconic cover. I mean, you can point to there's so many great covers, but for me, this one is it. It represents the sole character that really, I guess, paved the way for his achievements at Marvel, and just a great action shot, just so simple. The colors pop. Really, just about as perfect a cover as you can get, in my opinion. Just a great piece of work. The next two issues I'm going to show off, Marvel Age 104 here and Amazing Fantasy. These two issues preview X-Men #1, and I really love this cover because it features Jim Lee as, you know, on his first cover appearance, along with P.S. Sexy Psylocke. And what's interesting is that he characterized himself as being chained to his, drawing station. And I just thought that's just so funny, but also kind of sad as well. And then we get this great Amazing Heroes 198. By this time, that again, the X-Men #1 is the talk of the town. Here we have Sexy Psylocke and Wolverine in formal wear. This is just a great cover. I love this piece. Really sort of a unique and dynamic piece of art. Really nothing we've seen in Marvel. It's just one of those things that Jim kind of produced to preview, again, the X-Men on this issue. And then, we get the big event. It drops, and it drops in a big way. We get 4 connecting covers. So basically 4 images. They all come out at the same time. So really, as a fan, you have a choice to get all 4 plus a 5th cover that connects them all in a gatefold format. Sort of a larger issue on that one. Man, it was just incredible. And most fans would just go out and get all, 5 copies. So I knew people that were getting multiple copies and just, buying it because they knew this would be a key issue down the road. And it really is still a key issue. It's just there were so many produced, really kind of keeps the value of these things down. But anyway, it becomes the best-selling comic book of all time. 8.2 million copies sold. And again, just the gimmicky way they did that, it really propelled the sales. So, the 2 previous records by McFarlane and Liefeld, Lee surpasses both of them with over 8 million copies sold. And just what an incredible legacy and work. Now, Jim Lee comes back to reunite the old and new teams, and these old and new teams were broken up into gold and blue teams. And so that was just like a pretty big event, seismic shift, because here you had X Factor kind of doing their own thing in their own team, and then you had the new guys continuing to do what they do, and there just was like this sort of disconnect between these 2 great teams of mutants, even though they were also kind of in that mutant arena. They didn't have too many opportunities to unite and work together. Well, that all changes here, and I'm just going to show the connecting covers here. We got cover A, cover B. This is my beautiful copy of both Jim and Stan Lee's signatures. Love this copy. It's the Lees there on that cover B. Cover C, iconic cover here with Wolverine and Scott Summers there. This is also my 90s signed copy. And then we have cover D, great Magneto sort of ending cover. And then we have cover E. It's the wraparound gatefold, very iconic piece to add, especially if you want to have all the images.
Like this year has probably been the biggest year yet.
And now,
So we're
do
gonna
you
now
mind if I tell people why this is one of the biggest years yet?
About
this is really such an incredible fact. It's hard to believe. Years ago, and over the years in the comic book business, if a book sold 500,000 copies, or 750,000, or 1,000,000 copies for a comic book, I mean, that was phenomenal. Well, this man, Jim Lee, did the highest-selling, illustrated the highest-selling comic book of all time last year. He did X-Men #1, and Jim, I can't even tell him how many copies that book sold.
I think we sold about 8.2 million copies. That was the latest count.
8.2 million copies of one comic book, and Jim, you've got to show the book.
Well, we're still counting the results from Idaho and stuff. We got a lot of late straggler buyers. This is 3 of the 5 covers. I guess the other 2 are sold out.
$8.2 million copies. And it didn't stop there. X-Men Volume 2 continued to just wow people. Again, really an extension of Jim's work on Uncanny. You have just cover after cover, dynamic 90s sort of style action. Chris Claremont leaves the title on issue 4 and 5. John Byrne takes over on this great introduction of Omega Red in the battle there. And then, from 6 through 11, Scott Lobdell comes on as a writer. Continue to get these beautiful artwork. Now, by this time, that the partnership has been forged between Scott Williams and Jim Lee and Alex Sinclair. I mean, these 3 guys, if something is working, you stick with it. And so, with that amazing work on X-Men 1, these 3 just decide to be career-long partners. And what we get is just a display of that partnership throughout this run on Volume 2. So, yeah, a lot of great issues. Mojo here with Long Shot, great cover. Another issue I wanted to, kind of point out is we have X-Men Annual #1, which we'll feature in a bit. But, what's great about all these covers is that the new design of the X-Men, something that we've never seen before, is on full display. And it's a really iconic design because it was adopted into the X-Men animated series, which just really opened a whole new generation to the X-Men. You had the Hollywood version with John. I keep wanting to say Jean-Luc Picard, with Patrick Stewart and really the iconic role, Hugh Jackman's iconic role, that 2001 version. So, all of this design here work led to, in the animated series, led to the movie being a success, and anyway, everything comes to an end here in 1992. Jim Lee departs, and his final issue here is on issue 11. What a great way to depart, with X-Men saying goodbye and Wolverine there on the cover.